If you're here tonight, maybe sleep feels far away. Maybe the room is quiet, but your thoughts are loud. Maybe there's a weight you've been carrying, something left unsaid, someone left behind, or a goodbye you never got to give. If so, I just want to say, you're not alone. This isn't a guided meditation. It's not a sleep technique or a 10 tips to feel better video. This is just a letter that was never sent, a voice in the dark meant to sit beside you while the world quiets down, a story you can drift off to or hold on to if you need it. So take a breath, lay down, let the rain fall, and when you're ready, just listen. Dad, I don't know why, but I can't sleep tonight. It's raining outside, soft and steady, like someone gently knocking on the window, or maybe on my chest. The wind slips through the cracks in the curtain, cool but not cold. This room, your old room, still smells faintly like you. It's quiet now, just the ticking of the clock and the sound of rain on the roof. Father's Day is just a few days away. Everyone's talking about it. TV ads, store displays, people posting gift ideas online. And me, I just want the day to pass, quietly, like you did. I remember the first year without you. I still walked into a store and picked up a blue dress shirt, the kind you like. I stared at it for a long time before realizing there was no one left to give it to. So I put it back and left with empty hands and a heart far too heavy. I thought I was strong, that I could get used to this, but I've learned you never really get used to losing your father. You just learn to live around the empty space. Tonight, I miss you more than usual. Maybe it's the rain. Maybe it's the photo I found. Us in the backyard, you in that old white t-shirt, smiling like the world was still whole. Or maybe it's just because Father's Day is coming. I always meant to tell you something, not because I lacked the words, just because I thought there'd be time. Turns out, we still have time, is one of the gentlest lies life ever tells us. If I had just one night with you, I'd say it all. I wouldn't hold back. I wouldn't pretend I was okay. I'd hug you longer. But you're not here, and all I have now is this letter for you, for me, for all the things I never said. And if you're out there, listening to this, and there's a father you never got to say, I love you, to, then maybe, just maybe, we're not alone tonight. Dad, you were my whole sky growing up. I remember the first time you taught me how to drive. It was in that old silver pickup, the one with the cracked leather seats and the ADA-C that groaned every time we turned it on. You sat in the passenger seat, gripping the door like you expected me to hit something. But instead of yelling, you just said, "Take it slow. No one's born knowing this stuff. You'll get there." I don't remember everything I learned that day, but I do remember when I slammed the brakes too hard. You jerked forward, then burst out laughing. At least you didn't hit the gas instead, you said, ruffling my hair. It was the first time I'd heard you really laugh in a long while. Some of my best memories are the quiet ones, like those summer afternoons in the backyard, when you set up a makeshift tent with an old tarp and called it camping. You brought a flashlight. I brought my stuffed animals. We'd lay there and listen to frogs croaking down by the fence line. I remember asking, "Dad, when I grow up, will you still go camping with me?" You smiled, pulled your cap down low, and said, "If you still want me there, I'll be there." I didn't realize back then that those small moments would take up the most space in my heart later. I remember my first day of first grade. You didn't walk me into the classroom. We didn't really do that kind of thing. But I remember you waiting outside the school, arms crossed, leaning on the hood of the truck. When I got out, you handed me a juice box and said, "Didn't cry, did ya?" I shook my head and lied. You didn't call me out on it. You just smirked and said, "Good. But it's okay if you do." In high school, things changed. You weren't around as much. Long hours, more gray in your hair, a little slower getting out of your chair. But you still ask, "How was school? Anybody giving you a hard time? Did you eat something today?" I usually gave short answers. Sometimes I rolled my eyes. I didn't know back then that those little questions were your way of saying, "I still care. I'm still here." I remember one night I came home in a bad mood. Friends' drama, grades slipping, stress piling up. I slammed the door, skipped dinner. You didn't say anything. But later, I found a cup of hot cocoa sitting outside my room. There was a sticky note that said, "This won't fix everything, but it might help. Love you, Dad." I still have that note. It's yellowed now, edges curling, but your handwriting's still steady. Still you. Looking back, what hurts most is how much I stopped talking to you as I got older. I threw myself into everything. School, part-time jobs, figuring out who I was. Like you'd always be there waiting. But life doesn't wait, and neither did time. These days, whenever it rains, I think of that backyard tent, your whistle while mowing the lawn, the smell of coffee and old flannel shirts. I remember how you used to open doors without knocking. How you always knew when I wasn't okay, even when I said I was. Some memories feel so close, I could reach out and touch them. Then they slip through my fingers like rain. Dad, you were my whole sky growing up. And I still don't know how to live without that sky. Things began to change, and no one really noticed. I can't pinpoint exactly when things shifted between us. Maybe it was when I hit high school. Maybe it was when you started sitting quietly for longer stretches, speaking less, sleeping more. I still remember how you used to leave sticky notes on the kitchen counter in the mornings. Eggs in the fridge. Don't skip breakfast. Dad, you were never one for big speeches. But your love showed up in quiet places, like the charger you made sure was plugged in at my desk, or how you'd fill up the gas in my car without saying a word. And then slowly, the distance grew. Not because something happened, just life. I got busier. Classes, friends, extracurriculars, social media. Everything moved fast, and I ran with it. You still checked in.
How's school?
Got everything you need. Anyone bothering you? I answered with nods, one-word replies. Sometimes I didn't answer at all. I didn't mean to shut you out, but I did, and you let me. Not because you stopped caring, but maybe because you didn't want to make it harder for me to grow. I remember one evening, I had bombed a test, fought with a friend, and was feeling awful. You asked, "What's with the face?" And I snapped. You wouldn't get it. You paused, then nodded. I get it. That was it. But I remember the look in your eyes. It wasn't anger. It was hurt. And I never apologized. I told myself it wasn't a big deal, but I think to you it was. As I got older, I moved further into my own world. You never pushed, but I could feel you watching from a distance. You stopped showing up in pictures, said no to get-togethers. You brushed off coughs and skipped doctor's appointments, said you were just tired or getting old. You still did the grocery run, still wheeled the trash out every Monday, still acted like nothing had changed. But something had. When I left for college, you didn't drive me to campus. You said, "Go ahead. I'm fine." I knew it was your way of loving me, letting go. But I still wished, more than anything, that you'd pulled me in for a hug. That you'd looked me in the eyes and said something. Anything. That would have stuck with me. Instead, I just remember the door closing behind me and the silence that followed. Then came the call. Mom said you'd been coughing more. Test didn't look good, but you brushed it off. Nothing major, you said. Probably just the weather. I believed you, because I wanted to, because I needed to. But the second call, the one where Mom said, "He's in the hospital. You should come home." I came. But I was too late. I don't remember much about that night. Only that the world felt like it had lost its sound. That time warped. That I couldn't believe the man who'd fixed my brakes, patched the roof, and showed up in all the quietest, strongest ways, was now lying in a hospital bed, motionless. They said it was peaceful, that you didn't feel pain, that it was quick. But grief isn't quick. It lingers. It fills the gaps where conversations should have happened. It echoes in all the moments I thought I still had time. I used to think love disappears like a storm, loud and sudden. But now I know, sometimes love fades like a roof that quietly leaks. And by the time you notice the damage, it's already done. Things I never said, and maybe never will. Dade, after you passed, I started having dreams. Weird ones. In them, you never spoke. You'd just be there, sitting in your old recliner, wearing that striped shirt, holding your coffee mug. When I walked into the room, you'd just nod, like everything was okay. I'd wake up with tears soaking the pillow. At first, I thought it was sweat, but no, it was grief. Quiet, stubborn grief. They say time heals. But I don't think that's true for everyone. Some wounds don't bleed, they don't scar, they just stay, tucked somewhere deep in your chest. Heavy, silent. Some nights, in my tiny apartment with the yellow kitchen light on, I lay on my back staring at the ceiling and whisper, "I'm sorry, Dad. Sorry for not calling. Sorry for being too busy. Sorry for hanging up early and thinking I'd just call tomorrow. Sorry for thinking there'd always be another Sunday, another text, another moment. I used to think I was a decent kid. I studied hard, stayed out of trouble, tried to be kind. But now I wonder if I ever told you how much I needed you, if I ever made you feel appreciated, If you knew that behind all the silence, I loved you more than I could say. Grief hits me at the strangest times. Walking into a store and seeing a flannel shirt like the ones you wore. Hearing someone yell, "Dad!" across a parking lot. Those moments sneak up like rain. Sudden, cold, and they wreck me. After the funeral, life kept moving. People laughed, argued, ordered takeout, posted selfies, made vacation plans. And I learned how to keep it all inside. When people ask, "When did your dad pass?" I say, 3 years ago. I'm okay now. But I'm not. Not really. Because there are nights when the rain hits just right. And I'm back in your old room, 12 years old again, waiting for you to come in and say, "It's gonna be all right." But you don't. You won't. Not ever again. I'm mad at myself. Mad that I took your presence for granted. Mad that I believed you were invincible. Mad that I let so many hugs go unspoken, so many I love yous left unsaid. Now when I walk through the park and see a father holding his kid's hand, I feel it. That weight. That ache. Not just because I miss you, but because I know I could have loved you better. I used to think the worst kind of sadness was losing someone. But now I know. It's realizing you never truly knew them until they were gone. Mom told me how proud you were of me, how you'd brag about me to your friends. Said I was doing great. Even when I was falling apart, you never said it to me. And I never asked you to, but I wish I had, just once. I still keep one of your old shirts, navy blue, frayed cuffs. It doesn't smell like you anymore, but I keep it anyway. Because somehow holding it reminds me, you were real, you were here, and I was yours. I don't think I'll ever get over losing you. But I'm learning to live with it, to let the pain walk beside me instead of dragging behind me. Dad, if you can hear me somehow, please know I miss you every day, in every quiet moment, in all the words I never got to say. Turns out, love never left, it just changed form. Dad, I used to think when you died, your love disappeared too. I thought I needed to hear your voice, feel your hug, see your smile, to know I was still loved. But I've learned something different since then. I've learned that some kinds of love don't vanish. They just shift. They show up in softer ways, like wind brushing your face, like the sound of rain in the early morning, like silence that somehow feels full. One Sunday morning, I was cleaning out the old shed behind the house. I found your toolbox, rusty, worn, familiar. Inside it, tucked between a wrench and an old screwdriver, was a folded scrap of paper. It was your to-do list for the house. At the very bottom, you'd written, "Fix dining table leg." That's where she always sits. You never told me you noticed, never said a word, but you knew. You always knew. That one line, it told me everything. You had always been paying attention, always doing little things, quietly, invisibly, lovingly. Since then, I've started noticing the little things again, not rushing to move on, not forcing the grief to go away. Instead, I sit with it. I let it rain when it needs to. I open the window and let the sound in. Because sometimes it sounds like you. I started writing, not for anyone else, just for me. For the part of me that still misses you. For the version of me that never got to say goodbye properly. And the more I wrote, the more I realized you never needed me to be perfect. You just needed me to be real, even when I was messy, even when I fell apart. Especially then. I read something once that said, real love doesn't leave. It just transforms from presence to memory. And I believe that now. You're still here, in the way I make coffee in the morning, in how I double check the locks before bed, in the way I speak to people I care about, with patience I didn't think I had. I thought I lost you, but maybe, in some quiet way, you've been here all along. You used to say, life isn't always easy. Just take small steps. What matters is that you keep moving. I stopped for a while, frozen in guilt, paralyzed by regret. But I'm moving again now, not fast, not far, but forward. And I'm taking you with me, not in photos, not in ashes, but in the way I live. I don't hide my grief anymore. I speak about you, not as a tragedy, but as a gift. When someone tells me they've lost a parent, I nod and say, me too, but he's still with me. In the little things, every day, because that's how I keep you close. Not by clinging to the pain, but by letting your love stretch forward through me. Dad, I still cry when it rains. But now, it's not just because you're gone. It's because I finally see. You were never really gone. You've just changed places. If you're still out there, Dad, please read this. Dear Dad, I don't know if these words can reach you. I don't even know where you are. But tonight, right before Father's Day, I want to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're listening. So here it is. Everything I never said. Everything I wish I had. First, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the missed calls, for the one-word replies, for every time I said, I'm fine, when I wasn't, and for every time you knew, but I shut the door anyway. I'm sorry for not telling you how much you meant to me, while I still had the chance. I thought you'd always be around. I thought there would be more time. Turns out there never is. Second, thank you. Thank you for showing up in quiet ways, for fixing things without being asked, for sitting in the car outside school, even when I told you I could walk, for always making sure there were batteries in the remote and gas in the car, for loving me without needing to say it. You weren't loud about it. You weren't big on hugs or heart to hearts, but your love was steady and real and always there. I didn't always understand it, but I do now. If you were still here, just for one night, I'd hug you tighter, longer, without rushing away. I'd look you in the eye and say, I see it now, Dad. I see everything you did, everything you gave, everything you held back, just so I could grow. You once told me, we don't get to stay forever, but if you live with kindness, people will remember you longer than you think. I never forgot that. I carry you with me in small ways, in the way I listen, in the way I work, in the way I try to love others, with quiet strength, just like you did. Yes, I still cry, but not just from sadness. I cry because I had the kind of father people write poems about. I cry because I know how rare that is. And tonight, I'm not writing to dwell in the pain. I'm writing to let go of the guilt, to forgive myself, to say goodbye with love, not with regret. I know I'll never stop missing you, but I'll carry that missing with grace, not like a wound, but like a memory I keep warm in my hands. I love you, Dad, and I believe somewhere, You still know that. So goodbye for now. Not because I'm moving on from you, but because I'm finally learning to carry you with me. The right way. For you, who's listening in the quiet of the night, thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. Maybe tonight, you couldn't sleep either. Maybe, like me, you're lying in the dark, thinking about someone who isn't here anymore. If there's someone you never got to apologize to, if there's a hug you didn't give, if there's an "I love you" still stuck in your throat, please know this: you're not alone. We all carry an unsent letter, a quiet ache, a person whose memory lingers in the rain, in old songs, in the corners of rooms they haven't stepped into in years. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. If you've ever lost someone you loved, if there's a part of you that still wonders, still wishes, still hurts, I hope, more than anything, you can forgive yourself first. We all grow up trying to figure life out, and sometimes we don't say what we feel until it's too late. But if you're still holding on, if their memory still makes you softer, then they're not really gone. Not completely. You don't have to forget to move forward. You just have to learn how to carry the love, even when the person is no longer here to receive it. If this letter touched something inside you, if it brought someone to mind, leave a single dot in the comments, just one. Sometimes a single dot is enough to say, "Yeah, I get it. Me too." And if no one has told you this today, you matter. You are loved. You're doing better than you think. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to remember. You're safe here. Tonight, let the rain hold you. Let the silence be soft. And if there's something you never got to say it now. Even if it's just in a whisper, good night. You're not alone.